It's sort of like,
Never heard of it.
never heard of it. Oh well, in that case.
Right, fire away.
Okay, it's great. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here and good to see you.
And good to see
I think
you.
the last time we bumped into each other, I think Tom Napper had fallen over and he said, "Can you notice?" And I said, "Oh yeah, you can see you from outer space." but you're a very busy man. I mean, last night you were doing some dubbing for Alistair Russell, who
at the rugby club, yeah.
yeah, and you're off to Auburn.
After Auburn.
On this weekend for a shanty festival.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I mean, you were at Barnet Castle not so long ago, and you're organising things in and around Whitby, and when do you find time to breathe?
I don't know really. It kind of goes by itself, the breathing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'd just like to be busy, and me and my wife, Janie Meneely, she's basically very, very good at organising and stuff, and it's just.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question that everybody wants to know. Your email is called Tulip. Where did that come from?
Tulip comes from Danny Thompson.
All right.
He calls me Tulip. And he has called me Tulip since 1989. So I've been Tulip for 34 years.
All right. So you're from Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what brought you to Blighty, as I like to call it?
About 51 years ago, I got on a motorcycle and I thought, well, just go for a couple of weeks to Britain. And I had a Norton Dominator 88, a very nice 500cc machine. And off I went. I went up north. I went to Scotland. Ended up in Ullapool, and basically, that's where I ended up. I thought, right, this is lovely here, and I ended up being a maintenance person at a campsite and just do bits and pieces here and there. And then I found work at a bar after that in Gairloch, just down the road, and yeah.
And were you playing music at that time?
Not so much. I did. Point one, I didn't have a guitar. And
a detail.
Just a small aberration, really. And then I ended up after the Scottish stint, which lasted about a year. I ended up in Grimsby because I wanted to go back to Holland, but I found out I didn't have money enough to buy a ticket. In those days you had from Immingham, you had the tour line that went to Amsterdam, between Immingham and Amsterdam. And so I had to find a job, and I found a job as a lubrication engineer.
My goodness.
Basically a grease monkey at Findus Foods.
All right, yes, of course, yeah.
Pelham Road in Cleethorpes. And then I fell into the clutches of a folk group in a house full of folk musicians, a band called Silver Birch.
I don't remember them, but...
Well, they were the residents of a folk club called the Dolphin Folk Club, run by Bill Meek and John Connolly and the Broadside Band. And I ended up there, and I thought, well, this is good. So I bought myself a guitar and started practicing a few songs here and there, and I won a record, which was in the raffle, which was burying Robin Dransfield.
All right.
Route of the Blues, and I thought, I'm sold to folk music. This is it, because I used to be a rocker.
Right. Well, I've seen a photograph of you, and I think it was at the Folk Fairpot or the Melkweg, and you didn't have a beard.
Yeah.
It was, and you're on the stage with an acoustic guitar. Yeah. So obviously you played before you came over.
No. That was I went back to.
That was you going back.
Going back to Britain for a couple of years.
Right.
Going back to Holland for a couple of years. And I did some. That was around about a time that Kieran Halpin and Jon Strong and Tom McConville were over, and people like what you call him, Tim Wood.
Tim Wood, yes.
And we kind of did a folk circuit, not together, but one person, a woman called Anneke Zwetsloot, had this ring of gigs that she organised for people.
And Dave Dayton as well, of course.
Sorry?
Dave Dayton.
Dave Dayton, yeah.
He was around at that time as well.
Yeah, he was
all fantastic players.
Yeah.
It's funny the number of times I hear somebody say, I heard something and it just struck me like in the middle of my heart, and sort of that's what I want to do. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Well, the Robert and Barry Dransfield record, that was for me the catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
That was such an amazing transformation in that whole music idea.
Yes.
What I knew, and the difference between what I knew and what I was going to knowing.
Right.
That was fantastic.
You went up to Scotland, and you've always had like an affinity for Scottish music as well. Do you think it was from that time when you went up to Ullapool and?
Well, I kind of fell in love with Ullapool, but I'd never really seen an awful great deal of Scotland. Just really Ullapool around Loch Broom, and then a bit further south, Gairloch, and then once I was done there, I just took the road back via Glasgow, and which was all slow roads in those days, and back to Grimsby on a little Norton 500.
It's quite a contrast, isn't it, really, between the Highlands and Grimsby. I'm not saying anything about either places.
Yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock, really.
But I mean, I'm quite surprised. I mean, we've known each other for quite some time, but I always thought that you'd come from a folk background in the first place.
No, my mother was a child prodigy on the piano.
Right. She
was 12 when she played in full filled out concert halls, playing Chopin without music in front of her.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Oh, it is incredible.
All up there.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll talk to like classical pianists and they'll wind up saying it'll take me 6 months to learn this piece completely, and you go, wow. And I find the struggle sort of like trying to work up 3 weeks to.
And she just sat there, she could barely reach the pedals, that kind of picture.
So were you surrounded by music, or?
Not really. No, my father wasn't into music. He was into Glenn Miller. He was into the popular music of the time, and Benny Goodman and all those people. And when they got married, my mother sort of said, well, that's it, no more music. But I can see why that happened, because she had to practice for 6 hours a day. And they had a piano at home, and she had to play for the aunties and uncles and the blah de blah and blah de blah. And she hated it.
Yes.
She hated it with a passion.
Uh-huh. But we've seen that with the Irish musicians, like the young kids who are playing the tin whistle, like a virtuoso until the age of about 11. Yeah. And then they just never pick it up again.
No.
Ever again.
No, that's it, because they're pushed to the limit, when they're young, when they should be playing outside with their friends, in the sunshine, and do stuff that kids do, instead of sitting behind the 88, twinkly notes and pedals you can't reach.
So like extension blocks on it, yeah. Well, I've been racking my brains to try and think when we first saw each other, and I've got a feeling it was one time at an Irish session in Leeds, because I think that was where I first met you, either that or at a folk festival. It might have been at Cleethorpes.
It could have been Cleethorpes.
And you and Alistair Russell were together.
Right.
And I was thinking, does this session need like 2 guitarists? Because playing the guitar wasn't such a big thing in the mid to late 70s. Yeah. But I was struck by the fact that you could play anything and everything with whatever anybody was playing, and the two of you complemented each other, and I was really struck by the way that you played. Yeah. Like such an individual style. How did you move from Robin and Barry Dransfield into like the Irish, or was it just a separate area, or?
It was a separate thing. I just fell in love with Irish music, you know. But when Bothy Band started, Blanksty, all these bands, you know, coming from Ireland, that was new to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd never. I mean,
I think it was new to Irish people.
yeah.
I mean,
you know, Michael O'Donnell, what an amazing accompanist.
mm-hmm.
What an amazing guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that just struck me.
Yes.
And I just thought, I need to know what he's doing.
Yes.
I really need to know what he's doing. And that's when I got into. I've never really learned to play guitar in standard tuning.
Mm.
It's always been Dadgad for me. From when I
Dadgad is dead good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been playing it now for 50 years. So
yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
But it was new at that time, though. In the 70s, it was new.
It was Dave Van Ronk that started it, wasn't it?
Was it?
No, Davy Graham.
Davy Graham,
Davy Graham, yeah.
Yeah, who started playing that.
He started playing that tuning, but during Morocco Roll days, it was 3 chords, you know, rubbish. You know, but very, very.
As many as that in rock and roll, because quite often they're just 2 chords.
Yeah.
No, honestly, yeah. I had to do a 60s thing for a train museum where they were bringing back an old loco that was brought out in the rock and roll days. And I thought, I don't know if I'll be able to learn all of these. And it's like, all right, it's 2 chords, you know, and that's it, and maybe a third one if you're lucky. But there's a greater range, isn't there, within Dadgad?
Yeah.
I think it's all the suspended notes, and I call the chords Clint Eastwoods because I like chords without a name, you know. So like, but that's the thing. So we kind of bumped into each other a lot, didn't we? At sessions in Liverpool and like all over the country, and then next thing you know, you're in Leeds.
Yeah.
So. That was quite an exciting time as well, because I mean
it was a terrific time. Jon Strong came over from Holland. He kind of been living there. He had enough of it, so he came back to Britain, and he ended up in the same house that I was living in Blenheim Square.
Yeah. The Blenheim Square.
And the House of Shame.
No, not at all. It was. Well, in that case, I was never invited to them kind of parties. So now I know how this is. Yeah. But it was. I mean, it was a great.
It was a great time. Yeah. John just came over with a bassist, a lovely guy, a Dutch guy called Gelt Dijkstra.
Yeah.
And when somebody asked John, what's the guy's name? He says, Geld, think money.
Yes, well, he's ours though, isn't he? I mean, John is ours. He might be a curmudgeon, but he's our curmudgeon.
Absolutely.
And with the drum machine as well. But what I think of those times, I mean, there was the Regent, with all of the Irish lads from Mayo there, and they were giving us like such a grounding in what like traditional music sounded like. Before, I mean, the Bothy Band did a great thing. The enlivened music that people were, you know, I mean, really not that Irish
as well.
Yeah, it had like a rock sound and a rock sensibility.
Yeah.
With the separation of sound and Triona playing like a full like piano works, and Michael with the guitar, and just the structuring of it changed it. But like the old style, like at the Region, we had that to work from, and we had like the songwriting and Patsy as well. Yeah, you know, all of the songwriters, and Kieran Halpin
Tim
was around. Tim Wood was all around at that time. Yeah. But it was a much more open scene, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where there was much more chance.
Yeah, and this opportunity, and you know, and it was there for the grabbing.
Oh yeah, and you could immerse yourself in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially the Irish sessions, you had well, when the old Roscoe was still going on, around about that time, you know, you had about 3 or 4 sessions per day that you could choose to go to.
The weekend was just open.
And now, if you're lucky, there's one every 2 weeks. And I know where it is. It's in Meanwood.
It's what, sorry?
It's in Meanwood.
Right. I haven't been. I mean, I haven't played in a session for years. I tend to write my own tunes anyway. You know, but it was like such a melting pot of like opportunities.
And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I really want to talk to you about was that you're like a sound man, because you. Like if you went on stage and we knew that you were doing the sound, you knew you were in safe hands. I think I can't remember where it was, but I was doing support for somebody. I think it was either the Irish Centre or somewhere, and you were given the sound man who was there to mix the band a real bollocking, telling them, you know, you could have mixed better with a shovel, and he basically kicked them off, and you did the sound for me, and like the difference in sound was, and I mean, I've been like forever grateful for that, you know.
I can't remember that, but
there's a few other things I could remind you of. You talk about the House of Shame, I'll talk about things that you can't remember. But
drink must have been taken, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, no drink was harmed in the making of this life.
Yeah.
But you did become like a sound man on a very regular basis. Was that something that you kind of fell into, or?
Yeah, it was something that I've always liked doing. You know, I've always wanted to be a musician more, first and foremost. But sound came along, and it was the next best thing. And
it was more regular.
It was definitely more regular, and I made, at least I made a bit of money. You know?
unlike the musicians.
Unlike the musicians.
Because that was like the way you've worked out that you'd made it. Yeah. Because like people would have like a Dormobile, you know, like in the late 60s, and then it would be like you would have like a Transit, and then when people had like Mercs, and then they had like almost a bar or somewhere you could go to sleep on but when you had like a sound man, you had made it. You know, I remember when we were away with Clanna, it was like they had a sound man.
Yeah, no, they had a sound man, and he was very, very, very good.
And Nicky,
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible.
I can see his face, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So is that that was like another inroad, because you were associated for a long time with the Battlefield Band.
Yeah. Was
that like an inroad, or had you been doing sound before?
I've been doing a bit of sound before then, but I was initially, Alistair approached me to come on the road with Battlefield Band as a merchandiser.
All right.
And it was a particularly slack time in my career, so I thought, I'll give anything a go.
Hang on. I didn't know about this, that people had merchandisers.
I didn't know I was a merchandiser.
So I was still in the Dormobile.
Well, we were in a Talbot, what was it? We had 2 vans. vans.
I'm definitely off now.
one for the gear and one for the people, really. And
what?
Yeah.
So we used to have to take turns as to who slept on top of the PA system in the back with the dirty washing. Washing. And you tell people now.
Oh God! If you ask me about Battlefield Band vans and the inside of them, Jesus Christ, it's a biologist's paradise.
Oh yeah. Well, we wound up buying a van off Alistair.
Oh right.
And it was like an advert for filler, and it had like a line around the middle. Of about like a foot of filler all the way around this white van. Anyway, I digress. It's your story. So you're saying that you were a merchandiser?
Yeah, I was a merchandiser. Then I was promoted to lighting engineer.
All right.
And
lighting engineer.
Lighting engineer. So yeah, and so sometimes you had to work with what they gave you because you had to carry our own lighting rig. And So sometimes you had four faders to play with sort of yellow, green, blue, and purple, or whatever or mauve as they call
Mauve.
it. Mauve. And
I missed out.
So Alistair was always very, very good into sort of explaining things what the band wanted. So there were lots of changes.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I got four faders to work with.
Yeah.
Four faders, and then and during they used to do a piece of music called a 4-minute warning. And it had a piece with a drum machine in it. That kind of thing. And so I tried to do that with four faders, just changing every bar. And and sometimes you had a huge, massive desk, lighting desk. You didn't know what bloody else to do with the thing,
I think, do you think that's...
It was brilliant.
It's like, can I just have four?
I wonder what that button does. Poof, blackout.
We've all been there. Yeah. That's usually got it fused.
Yeah.
Well, I've definitely missed out. Merchandising, sort of lighting rig. But you were playing at the same time.
I was only allowed to go to Germany with them, and of course the band themselves, they did America and they went everywhere. So I had lots of times on my hands, and I was playing.
Why were you only allowed to go to Germany? It was because Dutch is nearly German. I wouldn't be allowed to say that in Amsterdam.
No, probably not. No, you get lynched.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
You were saying that they would travel all over.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's right. And
I'm very good, aren't I?
And anyway, so I had lots of time on my hands because I was probably twice a year for 6 weeks in Germany with them. Mm-hmm. And I had lots of time on my hands, so I dabbled a bit in recording and this and that and such and the other, and got myself a 4-track cassette recorder and stuff.
I remember those when they first came out, like the Tascams.
The Tascams, the rack mount. I had a sync cassette 2, 3, 4. It was a brilliant machine.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, it opened everything up, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started to get a few gigs here and there. I had Johnny Wall in. Remember Johnny Wall?
I do remember Johnny Wall.
Mr. 10%.
Yeah. Do you know, sorry, you got more talent in your little finger than some of these other.
Yeah. Expletive.
Yeah. I know. You didn't wind up doing the fun pubs, did you?
No. I know.
And you tell young people today.
I know.
They were called fun pubs, but I never got to find out who the fun was for.
I know.
Because it was never for me.
No. I know. The fun pubs were for the half a horse head and a dog. So much to you.
That's it. Getting paid off. Yeah. So I know I wound up saying these things about you, but not me. But my favourite one was Johnny, the one at the Batley Irish Democratic League Club. And yeah, but I got paid off there. It's all right, they'll take anybody.
Remember the ladies?
Okay, yeah.
That happened to Tom Napper and me.
Yeah.
The ladies, they wanted this because they heard the cassette, and they wanted this, and it was really good, and blah blah blah. So I went with the PA and Tom. I set up and tried to do the gig anyway. And there's a couple of people, well, we want. Do you want your Lobby Down consign? I says, well, I'm sorry, we don't know that,
Yeah.
And and then after about an hour, Joe, the lady, came to us and says, boys, I'm going to give you 50 quid. Now fuck off.
I know, having to take your gear down and walk through the middle of the audience, which is what they used to do in the working men's clubs. Yeah. So you were, and you are, so as well as doing stuff with the Battlefield Band, and you were working with Tom Napper quite a lot. I mean, you did that place in Newcastle. Was it the Monkey and Parrot or something?
Yeah, it was. We did O'Neill's. During the early 90s. You had all these Irish theme pubs popping up everywhere. Scruffy Murphy's, Monkey Muldoon's, Dirty Nelly's, and all these places.
You're selling them to me. Scruffulous, shameless.
Brilliant.
Piggy Paddy.
Yeah.
But they always had cupboards that were filled with sisal string and a bicycle 15 foot up a wall.
I know.
And you go like, I've been to Ireland. Nobody wants sisal string, and nobody wants the bottles on a broken shelf, 20 foot up in the air.
I know.
Very strange times.
But Scruffy Murphy's, that started by two boys who won the Irish lottery in Dublin.
All right.
And so, they must have thought, fair play to them, but they must have thought, well, we hang a bicycle about 30 feet up in the air and then we make them think that that's Irish.
I know.
Anyway.
Well, the thing is, it's like this is like leading towards you becoming more of a performer, whereas it almost seemed like you were employed as merchandise, you were employed as a soundsman, but then you became sort of like a performer in your own right.
Yeah, I did sound for Battlefield Band for 13 years. I travelled all over the globe with them. It was a very, very interesting time for me because I mean, Christ, how else would I have gone around the world several times? Yeah. But that band took me along with them, and it was an absolutely brilliant time. And then after about, I was with the band on and off for 12 years, and then on for 13 years. So it was quite a long time for me. And Alan been for 4 decades with the band, and in 2010 we both said, it's time to throw in the gauntlet and we're going to form a duo, which we already done in 2000. We had a meeting somewhere in the Lake District or the Yorkshire Dales, I can't remember where it was. And a couple of bottles of wine later, Alan sort of said, "Why don't we start a duo?" Starting off, but we were still working with Battlefield Band then. So, whenever the band wasn't working, we could do some gigs. And I thought that's a great idea.
Yes.
So we got a record together, which is this one, folks. This is the debut album. Alan Reid and Rob and SANTE.
Yeah, watch like this.
Oh,
wow. Yeah. So. And, I was going to come to how the association came about, but I mean it lasted quite some time as well.
It lasted 19 years.
Yeah, and you've been again sort of touring all over.
Yeah.
Where was the majority of your work?
In America.
In America.
Yeah. Absolutely, America without a doubt. And it's such a big country. And it's got a huge Scottish Scottish groups in every city will have a Scottish society. So there's loads of Scottish people living in America, and with Alan Reid just writing Scottish songs or about Scottish history and Scottish issues, stuff like that. It was really, really popular. Yeah,
well, I've seen some of the live stuff, and I put some on mainly folk music and dance as well. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. But now let's kind of like move to the now. Now I know that because like Janie was telling me that you were trying to you thought that you'd go round and what you'd do is you would maybe tour around the folk clubs to get yourselves like known again. And like dip your toe in the waters?
I would like to gig more here in Britain. Obviously, with Alan and I being more popular in America than over here. I think it's. I think I want that British folk club feel again, and I would like to.
Because you played quite big venues, didn't you? I mean, with Alan.
America, yeah.
So, and there's one thing I've never asked you. Do you actually write songs yourself or tunes?
I have done, but they're crap.
Are you supposed to let other people decide first?
Well, I had to play. I had one or two songs that I wrote, which are quite acceptable. But the one that I think would be quite good, I wrote 40 years ago. So it's kind of not really current.
Which bits of folk music are? This is from the clearances or whatever, or something like that. It's just I never asked. There's one thing, I don't know if you remember this, you're talking about like getting together. I remember us going to the Grove. There was me, you, Alistair, Tom McConville, and I think it was Gordon. And we said like, we're going to form a band. We'll form a band. This would probably be about 1980ish or something like that. Probably around about that time. And I mean, we always used to sort of like slot in together and play really well.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where we're trying to think of a name for the band, and it was like, I think some people wanted to go with the Hat Band.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we call ourselves the Victoria Principle?
Oh, I used to be in love with that woman. Yeah.
And the thing was like, it just like came to, well, no. And if that's the kind of attitude, and that was it, that was like, what? So, really, I could have been the merch. I could have been the lad in charge of the merch, especially if it was hats. And there's another thing I want to raise with you, is it's this. You once came to the Grove and you brought the words, and it was probably your song, and you were sort of very, serious, and you were going to sing it, and you had it on a stand. So to really help you along, what I did was I set fire to it.
I remember that.
So what I'd really like to say is like, so can I just say sorry?
You owe me a pint.
I'll take you out from you.
Oh, that's terrific. Oh God, I remember that.
So hijinks, I'll say. But right, to finish and conclude my story. So you're a lad from the lowlands who was like obsessed with like the Highlands to a certain extent. There's like a great affinity with Scotland. I mean, how do you see your career sort of going now? I mean, I know that you're working very hard with Janie. Where do you see where you're going sort of now? What would be your ideal?
My ideal would be just to carry on the way that we are at the moment. We are living here both in Britain. Janie is American and I'm Dutch, and I've got settled status. Janie's got a residence permit, so there's no reason why we shouldn't carry on living here. I think. And I have my studio upstairs.
Oh yeah,
a very nice house where we are.
Well, I've recorded with you. I mean, you showed me lots and lots of different ways and much more comfortable means of like recording, when it was the obsession with separation and you have to sing separately, you have to have the guitar done, and it takes like 4 days to set up the mics for the mandola and kind of things like that. And you just said, well, just do it and let's see what comes out. You actually gave me you let me play like your electric guitar, which was strung with like full gauge
Yeah, barbed wire.
Yeah. And because prior to that, whenever I tried to play an electric guitar, it just sounded like twangy and, you couldn't keep it in tune. And that's sort of like, you're to blame. That's why I wonder for a while, and still do, loving like singing and playing with an electric guitar, like folk songs, finger picking them like it's an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
So what are your projects at the moment when it comes down to
projects at the moment
with recording?
There's talk about me and Janie doing another album. I've just finished a couple of solo albums, one for Janie and one for me. This one.
Oh yeah.
That's Janie.
You can tell you were in merchandising.
Good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I got a torch.
The other one is
the portrait.
The portrait is contest.
There it is. Yeah.
See,
you see,
folks.
Yeah.
This is me.
That's it. Yeah.
Handsome, eh?
A picture from Ken Wilson as well. A portrait.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. So.
And I'm going to do another solo album. We are trying to do some folk clubs in the meantime. We're doing at the end of the month. We're doing Ripon, which we are looking forward to. We're doing, of course, we're doing Moira Furnace Festival.
Oh wow!
And Moira Furnace is a lovely wee place in Leicestershire, near Loughborough, I think it is. I hope.
one that you've got on your map.
I hope they haven't moved it. And then September and October we're going to be in America, and
exciting!
We've got a lot of work in 2 months. We're going to go to the East Coast, we're going to go to the West Coast, going to go to Vancouver Island.
Wow!
So there's loads going on, and I just love my life at the moment. And why fix something that isn't broken?
That's fantastic, Rob. It's been such a laugh. Such a pleasure, I mean, when we're in sessions, we'd like see each other the other side of the room, like, this one, like that'd be about as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have had, like, over the past 50 years, like, chances to have a good sit down, but this was just lovely.
Oh,
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure entirely.
Op je gezondheid!
Op je gezondheid. Cup of tea? Put some whiskey in this, folks.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Great. Well, thank you for that. That's great.
Excellent.
Yeah, good fun. Great fun.
So is this now ad lib?
Do whatever.
Okay.
Do whatever. Or just stop. Wait. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Toodaloo.
To this one.
Toodaloo. Have a good one.
Oh, great fun.
Toodaloo.